Hi, I'm Dr. Don Boomgaarden, President of St. Joseph's College, and I'd like to welcome you to St. Joseph's College Living Our Mission. Built on tradition and founded by the Sisters of St. Joseph more than 100 years ago, we are a mission-driven institution that provides a strong academic and value-oriented education with growing, diverse campuses located in Patchogue and Brooklyn, New York, as well as online. Thank you for joining us today. In this program, we will be discussing our vision to expand SJC's Patchogue campus to meet the needs of our growing student body. Last year, we announced plans for a $17 million student center, the first new building to be constructed on our Long Island campus in 18 years. We are all looking forward to this new 32,000 square foot state-of-the-art center and all the opportunities that it will provide to our students and the community in the future. To speak more about this is Janelle Hill, Associate Vice President for Student Life, and Antonia Dickson, a junior at SJC Long Island and the President of the Student Government Association. Welcome to both of you. So happy to have you with me today to talk about some really cool stuff, the creation of a new student center, the first new building on our campus in quite a while. So Janelle, if you were going to describe the new student center to an outsider, what would you say about it? How would you describe the building? What's going to be in it?
So it is very exciting because these are exciting times. We definitely are coming off of a pandemic year, and so our students are back on campus. So it's exciting to think about having physical space for them. This building is dedicated to the students. It's obviously going to benefit our whole community with our staff and our faculty, but it will be nice for our students to have their own space. I know SGA, our clubs and orgs are really excited about it, and so there's just going to be a lot of opportunities for them to have space in the building. So that's we're going to have a chapel, right? There's going to be a new chapel for our students. There's going to be club offices and SGA offices, which is space that they need and space that they can utilize for their events, for their programming, for their meetings. It's going to have a new dining facility, which a lot of our students, even if you go to our current dining facility, utilize for studying and utilize it when they're eating. And this is going to be a much larger space for them. So they're really excited about that as well. There's going to be a game room and an esports center, a veterans lounge. There's just so much in this building to even talk about and so many opportunities for our students, as well as office space for our student life staff. You know, our student life staff right now is really dedicated to our students, and a lot of our offices are located across different areas right now on campus, but in this particular building, we're going to have a suite. So our students will know where to find career services, where they can find student involvement in intercultural leadership and intercultural engagement, where to find my office as the Associate Vice President. So it'll be centralized for them to be able to come and participate and have many opportunities, which we're dedicated to the co-curricular experience to our students. So we're excited. This is big news, and our students are excited as well.
Well, I think one of the things about St. Joseph's is it's essentially a non-residential campus here in Long Island, and so for the students that come to campus, right now we do have some opportunities for them in terms of spaces, but nothing like this. Antonia, what do you think about this project, and how do you think it'll change the way students participate in life on campus?
I'm very excited. I myself, as the SGA president, might not get used out of the office, but I'm excited for the future SGA president to be able to be in there, to be separate from CAB, but still all be connected, for the clubs to have their own kind of central, since there's those 6 offices for the clubs, whether it's used as storage or just a space for even the 4 club executives just to come together. I think it'll really unify everybody since we've been separated for so long.
And it's also going to, of course, have offices. It'll have teaching spaces in some classrooms and the art galleries you mentioned. And so it'll be a space that's useful for the entire student body and certainly the faculty, but even the community around our college will benefit from the Student Center. So we're very excited about the project. And I think that it'll really highlight one of the most important aspects of St. Joseph's, which is the student.
Yes. Right.
And so, Janelle, as you think about the Student Center and you think about our current situation, what are some of the things that you feel the Student Center will help to further on campus?
It'll definitely help furthering building connections. I think about you know, the pandemic changed us all, right? It changed our students. It's been a year and a half, and we're all looking at how we can engage, right? How do we connect? How do we connect with one another? And our students want that connection. And so it's exciting to have them back on campus now and really have opportunities for them to engage both in the classroom and outside of the classroom. So I'm really excited about that. There's going to be so many different student spaces in that building, even just for studying, whether it's being in the lounge or being in the computer room, or being in a dining facility. You know, all of those spaces will give our students opportunity to build community, create memories, and really make connections to both the campus, but also to each other, which is really important, especially after the year and a half that we've had.
I think a lot of people would be surprised at the amount of learning that occurs outside of the classroom. We always think of college as, well, I'm in the classroom and that's where I'm learning, but so much learning occurs outside of the classroom, learning about leadership, learning about service, social responsibility. Antonia, what has that been like for you as the SGA president in terms of how has working in SGA impacted your view of the world even as a student?
I have learned so much more than I anticipated learning. I knew that I was going to step into this and work on myself as a leader and as a person, but I've learned so much about being a leader, being a friend, working with others, how a college itself operates and runs during a pandemic and not during a pandemic. I've learned about other students and how people work differently and how some work together and some don't. It's been an experience and I've loved every moment of it so far.
And that leadership experience that you're having now, of course, is something that you'll be able to bring with you when you leave St. Joseph and bring out into whatever profession that you choose. And so that's an opportunity to hone your skills, as it is for all the members of the Student Government Association, who of course will be housed in the new Student Center as well. When we think about this return to campus, I know this has been kind of a disorienting year, Antonia. So what has that been like for you to come back after a year of remote learning?
It's been interesting, but it's been great. I can remember getting the email from you completely clearly. That we were closing. I was sitting in the caf with a bunch of my sorority sisters. We were prepping to do a new member event because I had just gotten in. Our induction was that weekend. And you could feel the body language in the room change completely. As soon as one person read the email, everyone felt, I have to check my email for some reason. And then everyone started screaming. Because in that moment, everyone was like, wow, we have 2 weeks off of school. That's great, because it was March, so everyone was just kind of shot at that point. And then you realize that I'm not seeing my professors, I'm not seeing the staff that I love to see, I'm not seeing my friends. Okay, what is Zoom? How does this work? How do I get in contact with a professor who's learning just like I am? So it was definitely interesting. I'm very glad to be back, but it was a learning curve that I think everyone learned from and needed.
That moment, when I had to make that decision, actually it started with the Dillon Center in Brooklyn, where we had a student that was exposed to the virus. And the question was, should we close the Dillon Center? And I was like, well, if I close the Dillon Center, I have to close the Brooklyn campus. And if I close the Brooklyn campus, I have to close the Long Island campus. And so, as a president, there are lots of things that you like doing, but closing your college is not one of them. And so it was a very hard decision. And I think we made the right decision, but Antonia, you're right. It was right before spring break. I was hoping we'd at least get through, not have to close until spring break, but we couldn't even make it that far. I knew right away that this was going to be a serious problem. And then we had to shift to a completely new mode. So in that first semester when you shifted, what was that like for you in terms of the transition in your courses?
It was very isolating because you went from knowing all the people in your class and being able to see them every day and being able to walk in and say, hey, okay, what's your progress on the assignment that's due next week? Did you do the reading? And feel that connectedness of the class together. And if you didn't have someone's number, if it wasn't your best friend in the class, you completely lost that connection. So it was very okay, I need to figure this out by myself, of getting onto Zoom, knowing what I have to do, and knowing that if I need something, I have to send an email right away.
And how did it impact student life activities in terms of, you have this panoply of activities that we use to engage students on campus. What was the impact?
Challenging, right? So I think that first semester when everything happened, it was just kind of feeling our way through the dark. Seeing what we had we were planning a whole semester of events, so we had to cancel those. And then looking at ways we can engage students virtually, right? And so that summer, we spent the whole summer just planning, seeing how we could do things, looking at what some other institutions may be doing, and thinking about how we could meet our student needs. I think that, our students were a little zoomed out at times, and so finding that balance of giving them opportunities to connect virtually, but also recognizing that virtual isn't the same as in person. And so I think that, the student life staff was really committed to just making sure students knew we were here for them. Even if sometimes it just meant a check-in. I know that last year's SGA was that's when they started their coffee chats. It was an opportunity for them to have check-ins with all of the students. And if students attended, they attended, and if they didn't, but just giving them that notice that we're here for you, and we're going to be here for you virtually. And so, we're happy now to be back, because I think that, the Zoom option is a good, viable option, but it doesn't replace the in-person connections and building those connections. Even for me as a staff member, I joined the team during the pandemic. And so, learning the students and be able to meet students during a virtual environment is very different than now being on campus. This is my first semester that there are more students on campus, and really being able to, they had a great fall fest yesterday, they had a huge turnout, being able to actually see students engage with each other and being able to meet them. It's a very different time, and so we're excited and we look forward, and that's why the Student Center is exciting. We look forward to moving beyond this, moving to our next, whatever next new normal looks like, or whatever post-COVID looks like, but really being able, and learning though. We learned from the pandemic. I think student government last year learned a lot. I know that the student government this year is learning a lot, because, we still want to do things safely. So figuring out the best ways and being able to engage them. But I think that our students are happy, and I think staff and faculty are happy to be back and really giving more robust opportunities for our students.
Well, I think both of you are doing a fantastic job right now. We're going to talk a little bit more about the future and what's coming up, but we have to take a quick break, but still to come, more about student life here at St. Joseph's College.
Are you ready?
To work together and stand out.
Ready?
To find solutions that push us forward.
Ready?
To take on today's challenges and take charge of our future. With a world-class education at St. Joseph's College in Patchogue, you will be ready. Attend an upcoming event to find out how. For scheduling information, visit sjcny.edu/LI events.
Are you ready?
St. Joseph's College.
Ready, set,
Joe's.
Are you ready?
To work together and stand out.
ready?
To find solutions that push us forward.
Ready.
To take on today's challenges and take charge of our future. With a world-class education at St. Joseph's College in Brooklyn, you will be ready. Attend an upcoming event to find out how. For scheduling information, visit sjcny.edu/BK events.
Are you ready?
St. Joseph's College.
Ready.
Set.
Joe's.
Welcome back to St. Joseph's College, Living Our Mission. We were discussing our growing campus and student life here at St. Joseph's College. And with me today, I have Janelle Hill, Associate Vice President of Student Life, and Antonia Dickson, the President of our Student Government Association. I'm so happy to have both of you here today, and we're talking a little bit about the past, how we dealt with the crisis, and now maybe shift a little bit to how we're doing right now. What are some of the important ideas of the year that we want to see in student life and that student government has planned forward? As we think about transitioning back into normalcy, what's that been like this year, and what does the rest of the year look like for student life here on the campus of St. Joseph's, Long Island?
So for one of the things, we definitely recognized that we had two groups of students, both our sophomores and our freshmen, who have really had a very different experience than our juniors and our seniors, because our juniors and our seniors at least knew what St. Joseph's were pre COVID. And so last year was a full remote year, so our sophomores mostly were remote. They may have come to campus a few times for their SJC 100 course and their freshman seminar. And then our freshmen were a year and a half remote for their high schools or had different high school experiences and now are transitioning back. And so we wanted to take the opportunity to welcome all of our students back and reacclimate them back to campus, but also recognizing that each population may have different experiences and different expectations. And so how do we take all of these expectations and experiences and provide the best opportunity for all of the students? And so we've been doing different things and different events to get our students back on campus, to get them getting to know one another. We did a sophomore meet and greet to get sophomores to have opportunity to meet some other students they may have not necessarily met. Our freshman seminar classes have been meeting on a weekly basis, and they had their club fair, and club fair went great. It was very well attended, as well as our juniors and seniors are now being reacclimated back to the classroom. And there is still some stress and anxiety. I'm not going to say that all of our students have different experiences, and I think that we recognize that. And so one of the things is making sure they know all the services that are available to them, making sure that the student life team is ready and available to meet their needs and understand that each student is different, but also being able to provide programming and initiatives that will be able to address those. And so I think that this semester is a transition for us all, right? Transition for the staff, for the faculty, for our students, and recognizing that we're also a little bit of human, right? And so having a little bit of grace in that and understanding that, you know, if a student is struggling, how do we connect them? How do we make them know what resources are available to them? I know that all of the staff and faculty connect, and we have different options for our students, and so we want to make sure our students understand that we're here to make them successful and support them through their academic journey. So this semester is a transition, but I think that, you know, overall I've heard our students are excited, they're happy to be back, and just really trying to focus on the moving forward and the strategies and really providing them opportunities for success.
Well, I'm thrilled to have them back because, you know, you and I were here alone on the campus for many months. And so it was very depressing to be in a college campus with empty classrooms and no one here. I know they were learning at home, but somehow it was very, very sad.
And think about student life without students.
Yes. Now, Antonia, you know, for a student, and you can talk about yourself or talk about students that you know, going through a pandemic, it's really tragic. There are a lot of people who lost family members. A lot of people endured all kinds of terrible things, financial hardships, various things. You see that in all of your friends' lives and the families' lives. How do you think that experience has changed the students as they come back this year?
I think it shows us what to be thankful for, and it grows you as a person, as a community. So as much as everyone went through it alone, as we said, it was isolating, everyone comes back now and has had somewhat of a similar experience or connects to each other in a different way that they didn't before. So I think in the end it unifies us as a college.
So in a way, even though it was a bad experience, there's something positive that comes out of it, right? And I think that is a very St. Joseph's approach. In other words, we see something that's difficult and we turn that into something that's positive. Now, I know the viewers are going to want to know, what exactly does the SGA president do? So tell us a little bit about what you do as SGA president.
That is not the first time someone has asked me that question. Everyone's like, what is that? We oversee all of the clubs on campus and the organizations, which include Greek Life. So we have budget meetings with them starting in usually about July to prep them for the semester. We approve or deny, even though we try not to deny, the events that they're hosting. We keep track of their meetings. We boost them up when they need to. We meet bi-weekly so that everyone's aware of what's going on campus. So we kind of oversee everything. We're in charge of Club Fair and Fall Fest and Spring Fling. So those are kind of three of the events that we run.
And what are some of the most popular clubs on campus?
That's a tricky question because we're actually in the process of forming some as well who I think will do quite well next semester. But off the top of my head, STARS is very popular.
And STARS is what?
Students taking an active role in society. So it's a community service club. They just recently had an event. They were packing Halloween bags to donate to a local organization for their drive-through Halloween. So keeping Halloween very safe, but still fun for the younger generations. Project Sunshine is great. They're operating remotely. They're working with Angela's House and still the hospital that they've been working at. And they were not taken down by the pandemic. Everyone thinks Project Sunshine and you go into a hospital. to help kids, but they've been able to work really, really greatly remotely and have increased their numbers.
And as SGA president, you're also a spokesperson for the college, and you're a spokesperson for student activities on campus. So how do you get students to get involved in campus life?
I think reaching out to see what they want to see. I find myself often asking my sisters, because I'm in a sorority, what they want to see, what we should change, or just taking a poll and asking people to send it out to anyone they know, so that we know that we're hitting a wide range of students and we're not keeping it exclusive, and then making sure that we're seeing or doing something that everyone wants to see.
And that must be an interesting dialogue that you two have about what are the student needs, what kinds of new clubs and organizations, because perhaps some of the older ones are just no longer current, not something the students want to get involved in, right? But we have to keep developing new things for them.
Yes.
Right.
And we always encourage students to start a club. So sometimes there might be an idea that you have, and that's what Antonia was alluding to, that we have a couple students now who are interested in starting their own new clubs, which are clubs that we've never offered or haven't offered in a while. And so, really being able to gauge and that's the part of being a student leader too, right? If you can start your own club and get the experience and get involved, there's so many skill sets that go along with that.
And of course, it's something that future employers look at, when you're creating your CV as you leave college, and you have these various organizations that you've been involved in, perhaps even led, then this really speaks for you as a student. But it's also interesting that if you took a look at St. Joseph's College retention, you discover that the students that were involved in student government and were involved in the clubs also have the best retention because they have a connection to the school, right? And that's, I think, a really important part of what SGA does and what Student Life does is that they're trying to connect the student to the college itself.
Yes.
And that's exactly what wasn't happening during the pandemic for so many of us. So hard to connect, right? So the students are back. We're looking at new clubs. What are some of the things that you would like to see happen this year in terms of SGA and also in terms of student life?
So I would love for us to continue, right? Continue to expand our opportunities for more in-person stuff. I would love to see the clubs and orgs grow. Right now, I think we're registered around 37 clubs and orgs, and so seeing more clubs and orgs always means more opportunities for students to be involved, as well as continue to offer our services and continue to see our students utilizing our service. I know that, our student population continues to grow, and we don't always touch every student, but we do want to make sure that our students know we are here and available so that if they ever need support, whether it means their freshman year they're doing career exploration or major development and they don't know what major they want, so they visit our office, or when they wait till they graduate and want to update their resumes, or being able to make connection and attend our campus ministry and attend weekly masses, or also being able to participate in whether a club or org or SGA. There's just so many opportunities, and Antonia has been great this year. She really has focused, and she really has taken this on to come back and really provide different opportunities. We're getting ready to have our SGA induction, and our students are getting ready to gear up for next semester and doing spring planning. And so what does spring look like? The weather is better, and there's a lot more opportunities to do things outside. And so we're looking at all of that to really give, just more time to our students and investment in what they might want to see so that they can learn and grow both inside and outside of the classroom.
And, Antonia, as you think of the year, do you have particular goals that you want to accomplish with SGA?
I think the track we're on is a really good one. I think the pandemic kind of wiped the slate clean for a lot of clubs, because a lot of as we've said, the freshmen and the sophomores have no experience with our clubs. So we really couldn't gauge, what clubs were going to be huge and what weren't, because we didn't know what the newer classes were looking for. So I think everyone kind of came in and was like, okay, I'm going to, hit the ground running. And even though we're virtual, we're still able to do stuff. So we're still going to connect with people. And it's gone very, very well. A lot of our clubs are doing exceptionally well, whether they're doing in-person meetings or events or meeting virtually still through Zoom. So I think continuing that, making sure everyone's connecting and doing well, and also, as we had our own coffee chat, continuing to connect with the administration.
Absolutely.
Has been great.
Well, I think that it's a little counterintuitive, because people would be surprised. They think of St. Joseph's as at least a non-residential campus here, and you wouldn't think that student life and student government would be that important. But the reality is it's even more important, because it's what connects the students to the campus, and the students very much want that. And so even though we're not a residential campus, we don't have dormitories on this campus, the students are able to have a really rich experience, and they're able to really fulfill some of their dreams and also develop the leadership skills that are going to be so important later in life. And both of you represent leadership skills. Janelle, you've done an incredible job as our new Associate Vice President, and Antonia, you're doing a great job as President of the Student Government Association. So I'm so thrilled to have both of you here today. Not only today, but in general, having you here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Janelle and Antonia, for joining me. As you can see, student life is an integral part of St. Joseph's College experience. It speaks to the Jesuit concept of cura personalis, the fostering of the whole person, their minds, their bodies, and their souls. It's one of the most unique aspects of an education steeped in the Catholic tradition and the tradition of the sisters. Through the pandemic, we have seen many changes, and we've seen how those changes have impacted our students, but our commitment to providing these formative opportunities in the best facilities is unshakable. Thank you for your time today. We have so much to look forward to here at St. Joseph's College, and I'm grateful to have had this opportunity to share it with you. Thank you for watching.